Today we're going to talk about, is cash flow important or is revenue important for your business? And we're going to talk about how to actually increase your cash flow so you're not going to be stuck in a situation like a lot of businesses are in 2023 when the recession smacks them across the face. My name is Michael Barayev, and I was able to build a sales team of 150 plus sales guys in less than 2.5 years with zero money invested. And we were able to do that in a very, very, very successful way. And now we have a successful solar sales team that's growing like crazy in South Florida, in the Florida market, and we're growing like crazy, coast to coast, like butter on toast. So my job is very simple today, to show you guys how cash flow is important and how to improve your cash flow in your business. So I personally believe that revenue means nothing. I believe that cash flow is everything. Now, you definitely need to have money coming in, but you need to prioritize your business to make sure that your cash flow is not going to put you out of business. Because a lot of companies, they have amazing revenues, they have amazing evaluations, they have a lot of sales in their business, but the cash flow is very poor. Especially in my business of solar. A lot of installation companies and solar sales companies, a lot of solar companies just don't know how to do things the right way, where cash flow affects them and they can't really make it, right? Like, think about it. You got costs, you got expenses, you got suppliers to take care of, you got employees, you got overhead, you got all kinds of stuff. People don't realize, like, it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of money to become successful in a business. A lot of moving pieces. You make one mistake, boom, right? And if one mistake if your supplier makes a mistake, it's a domino effect that affects everybody, right? So in my opinion, I'm gonna give you guys 10 things you guys can focus on to help your business grow and to improve your cash flow, right? So number one, you gotta build cash flow forecast reports, right? It's gonna help you understand with like the potential of where's money coming in and where's money coming out. And you don't necessarily have to build it out yourself. You can have an accountant do it. You can have someone that specializes in that kind of stuff that can do it for you. But you need to know, like, what is your projected cash flow? How much money is supposed to be coming in and how much money is supposed to be coming out? Very important you track that and have reports so you know, okay, I have a month run rate. I got a 2-month run. I got this much money left over for the next couple of months. Very important so you can see exactly the health and the pulse of your business. Number two, you need to monitor your accounts. Monitor your bank accounts. You need to monitor your accounts receivables. You need to monitor all those things. It's very important you do that. Because if you don't monitor your receivables, like the money that people owe you, it could be a problem. Like, let's say a company owes you $5,000 per a product, as an example. And for whatever reason, they couldn't get X, Y, and Z done. Now, you don't have that $5,000. So you got to be very careful. Manage your accounts. Look at them on a daily basis. I look at my accounts every single day. If not every single day, every other day, to make sure that the accounts are doing well. I want the accounts to do very well and they're healthy, so just in case I have accounts receivables coming in, I can make sure I can allocate it properly to where I need to allocate it, right? And that's where number one kicks in with the reports. You'll see exactly what's going on with the pulse of your business, all right? Number three, manage your inventory properly. If you have inventory, if you have products, right? Manage your inventory properly. Make sure you don't buy too much. Like, a lot of times, what I've seen people do is they buy so much stock because they want to get it to a lower, cost per product. So let's say, for example, they want to buy something for $5, and if they buy, 100 pieces of it, they'll get it for $4 because the supplier will give them a discount. I mean, you got to think about it. If you're going to tie up X amount of money into that product, what is the return? Like, is it better to tie 100 units and tie up all that money, or is it better to just pay that extra dollar per product so you don't tie up your cash? You got to play out those numbers. You got to look at what's the best ROI. Too many people say, "Oh, I'm going to buy it cheaper." They put all this money into the stock. And all the freaking stock is literally sitting in your freaking warehouse and you can't get it out. It's not getting out fast enough. Your team is not selling fast enough or whatever, right? So you got to manage the inventory very well. And if you're not good at that, make sure you hire someone that's really good at managing inventory. It's very, very, very crucial to people that have a product business. In a service business, it's not so much. You may have to worry about some of the, the other products you have that you're not really selling. Like maybe you're selling, tree cutting, right? You say you're a landscaper. Right, you got to be careful because you may need to have certain equipment that goes out every couple of months. You need to buy a $5,000 piece of machinery or a $7,000 piece of freaking chainsaw, whatever it may be. So you got to manage your inventory very well with that as well. Okay, next, you got to optimize your pricing. If you're going to do business with me, I'm not the most cheapest person on the planet. I'm high quality, high price. Because I need to make enough money. I have to have enough margins so I can protect my business and protect my company. When a lot of companies go out there, as an example, a roofer may say, "Oh, I'll give you a roof for 15 grand. And the other guy's like 10 grand. Most people say, "Oh, I'll go with the guy with 10 grand. But what you don't realize is that guy that's selling it for 10 grand, he may not be in business for long. So he's not gonna protect you on all those warranties. Like, I don't wanna go with the cheapest guy. I wanna make sure the margins are healthy so that they're making money. I always look at it this way. If I'm doing business with someone, I want them to be making money with me. If my partners, my suppliers, and my manufacturers are not making money with me, then if they go out of business, guess what happens to me? I'm asked out of a manufacturer. I'm asked out of a supplier. So I want them to make money. I want them to have decent margins. I want them to price me right. I don't want to do the race to the bottom pricing. That's not fair to them. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to our business. It's not fair to our customers. It's not fair to anybody. So it's very important that you understand that you price your product properly. I'm not saying you need to overcharge like crazy, but charge enough where you're making enough profit, where it's enough value for the customer to make a decision to say yes, okay? Number 5, review your expenses. A lot of times people just spend all this kind of money. You have $1 million business and you have no idea what you're spending money on a monthly basis. You have a $5 million business. You have a $25 million business. You have no idea what the expenses are. I'm not saying you need to focus 100% of your time on the expenses. In our company, we focus 90% of our energy on the revenue, getting more revenue. How do we get more sales? But we got to spend a little bit of time to look at the expenses. How do we look at the expenses? Like, what are we spending money on? How can we eliminate some of the bigger chunks? Like, do we really need this software that we're spending $5,000 a year? Do we really need this, this machinery we're spending $25,000 a year to maintain? Like, you got to start thinking about that kind of stuff, right? So look at some of your expenses and review them on a weekly, monthly basis to see what can you eliminate, what can you reduce, and what can you actually start to increase to help your business get closer, all right? Next, number 6, consider invoice financing. Okay, invoice financing basically is if you have unpaid invoices, you can consider invoice financing, which allows you to access cash from unpaid invoices. So someone else will finance that, right? There's other companies out there, they'll say, hey, you have a bunch of invoices, we trust your business, we'll give you, let's say you're owed $2 million, we'll give you 500 grand. And when you receive those invoices, you'll pay us, a little small fee, right? So figure out maybe you can invoice finance. That may be an option. I'm not saying it's recommended, but that's an option if you're in a bad situation with cash flow. Number 7, get a line of credit. Right, get some loans. It may be tough in this marketplace right now, I understand. But there may be some small business loans, some loans you can get out. I'm not saying you need to do loans forever. Maybe temporarily just to put yourself in a position, right, so you don't get screwed. If you don't need the loans right now, get the loans. Be ready for that money just in case you need it. Usually all these banks start messaging you and calling you when you don't need the money. When you need the money, they don't want to give you the money. So don't do it when you need it. Do it before you need it just to have those access lines of credit open just in case, right? Number 8. Prioritize your payments. A lot of times with cash flow, you got to be very careful. You got to pay the manufacturer. You got to pay the supplier. You got to pay your employees. You got to pay this. You got to pay that. Prioritize who you're going to pay first. I know it's difficult. It's going to get a crazy time right now over the next couple of months. It's going to be crazy. You got to make decisions. Do I pay this guy? Do I pay that guy? And you got to prioritize who gets paid first, especially with cash flow kind of dwindling a little bit. So you got to prioritize that and make sure you have good relationships with the suppliers, the vendors, the partners. Make sure you have good relations with everybody and make sure you let them know. Don't just leave them open and don't tell them shit. Let them know, hey, I'll give you a call in 2 weeks. I'll let you know exactly where my business is at, and maybe I'll pay the invoice in 2 weeks. Communicate effectively. As long as you communicate with people, they'll be okay with it. It's when you don't communicate that's what scares people. And they start saying, well, where is Joey? He hasn't called us in 2 months. He hasn't paid us our invoice. What are we doing? So you don't want to create that kind of fear, doubt, and worry and disbelief in the partnerships. You want to make sure they understand and communicate effectively what's going on, right? Number 9, communicate with your lenders, communicate with your creditors, communicate with everyone. Don't keep them lost in the sauce. Let them know what's going on. Be as transparent as possible. Be open, transparent. Hey, this is what's going on. I have a little bit of a challenging month right now. I need some support. I need some help. We have record sales. We have record revenue. But the problem is with my cash flow when it comes to the supplies, the merchandise. We have issues with this. We have issues with that. Communicate. Let them know. Give them some expectations, right? And number 10, review this stuff regularly. Review this stuff on a regular basis. Review your cash flow statements, review your cash flow reports, review your bank accounts, review all of that to make sure you're in a healthy place. Remember, if you're a CFO, you're probably doing this for the company, but if you're a small business owner and you don't have a CFO, you gotta know this shit. You gotta know how much money's coming in, how much money you expect to have next week, next month, next year. Like, you gotta know these numbers, man. If you do not know, you can literally put yourself out of business. You can have a $10 million business and lose everything. All because you did not understand cash flow and how cash flow works in your business. So I appreciate you guys. If you love this kind of content, do me a solid. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, drop some love in the comments. Do me a favor, share this video with someone that can benefit with this, especially in this economy. People need to see this video ASAP to make sure the cash flow is gonna be protected. And as you guys know, we appreciate you, we love you, we'll see you guys in the next video.